So as we know, there's a lot of swimming videos on YouTube showing efficiency, speed, how to swim longer and faster and all those things. But this really does have to be the easiest 1 minute 15 seconds per 100 meters that you'll ever see. So if you're looking to do triathlon, an Ironman or open water swimming long distance, then it doesn't get any easier than this. And I feel I'm in the position to say that because I swam the opposite for most of my life. I swam flat with my head up, no rotation. I was doing 30 strokes more per minute, a lot of drag, a lot of energy. I was sore in the shoulders and neck. And then I started sliding from side to side. So only pulling on my side, which took pressure off my shoulders, putting my head in a neutral position, looking down. That took pressure off the neck. That helped the hip come up. And I absolutely encourage you to learn this. If you're going to do something this year going into 2023, just have a go at learning the Ocean Walker technique. I've got my online coaching series. You don't have to pay a lot of money. It's £12 a month and you can cancel any time. There's over 3 hours of videos with instruction if you can't see me in person at my facility at Lincolnshire, UK. It's called Ocean Walker Vimeo, and I'm going to attach the link in the description on this video. So what are the differences from the conventional way of swimming that means I get this big glide, saving energy? Well, first of all, you can only glide with a glider. So as your arm is out in front, that means you get momentum, and that means that you get this forward movement. And that can only come from a rotation. Now, how you rotate is important. There's two ways of rotating. One is chest driven, which is more the conventional way, or there's hip initiated. Now, sometimes that's confusing because people drive their arm in the water and they can call that hip initiated. But it's only hip initiated if the hips go first. Like in golf, if you use your chest, you can't say, well, that's using the hips. Or if you go for a punch in boxing and you use your chest, that's a jab as opposed to using the hips and following through. So we need to use the hips for the power. And the way we do that is by turning the feet in. There's more to it because you need to learn how to be balanced on your side with the head still. And that's where Ocean Walker Vimeo comes into it, learning each part. And also you want a very high body position in the water. So you want your hip up to the surface. And the way you do that on your side is by looking down with the lower arm, and that gives you a seesaw motion. So it's learning that in order to give you a natural high elbow, and that gives you that nice entry into the water, and it means you can do a good catch at a lower position. All these things then benefit you, but by rotating side to side, the more momentum with balance, the more glide that you'll get. So if you go on your side and move your head, you're going to over-rotate, which is why the conventional way of swimming, they tell you to do less rotation because often people aren't dealing with the head in terms of keeping the head still. When my head is down, it doesn't move. Only when I breathe to the side does it move. Otherwise, when I'm gliding, it's very, very still, looking straight down at the pool floor or the ocean. Takes pressure off my neck, helps my hip come up, and it's a completely different body position than the flat position, which you've got a lot of surface area hitting the water, and it's harder to bring the hips up. Again, which is why people use floats and things like that to help that body position. But on the side, it's an absolute game changer because your hips come up, natural elevation, easier for the recovery arm, the front arm down in the water, easier for the catch, etc., etc. And this is all rhythm. So I'm not ploughing through the water. I'm not even thinking about my arms. The first priority is to roll, and the second priority is to make sure I accelerate onto my hip before I pull. There's no spearing into the water, driving. It just gently goes into the water, which is why you see it very gently at the front end. But a lot of people watch my videos and look at the front end, but don't know what's going on the back end. And now I've given you all these points in Ocean Walker Vimeo of how to do the system from left to right, getting that rotation 180 degrees with balance. It's important when you swim to be really relaxed, and you want to think of yourself as an efficient machine going through the water. So the flatter you are, the more drag. The more you pull on your side, the more you'll cut through the water. And the higher you are, then that's the most efficient you can possibly be. No one has ever discussed with me that being on your side is not the most efficient you can be. It just is. And everyone accepts that, but it's how you do it. How do you stay balanced on your side like a fish without over-rotating? And that's to do with a still head. That's to do with using your core and balancing on the side. And we need drills in order to master that. But as you can see here, making it very easy. This 115 per 100 is crazy easy. And sometimes if I don't have time to train, I can just go on and on for hours like this. Very, very easy. Whereas with the old way of swimming conventionally, I would have had to train myself super hard in order to carry on with distance. But here, I've literally, as I film this, I've just done a very easy 3K, not out of breath at all. This sort of pace, just very, very simple. Feel like I've not done much at all. So there is a way to be more efficient in the water. It's just understanding how we cut through the water, which is really important. And again, just to repeat on some of the other videos I've said, it's what they do in the Olympics. They do a tumble turn, they push off on the side, they use the momentum from the side in order to do this sort of fish-like motion when they push off on the side, because they know they're faster on the side than they are when they're flat. And I've spoken to Paralympic coaches. In fact, a Paralympic coach messaged me and said, your one-arm drill, Adam, where you're on your side, that's what we teach to our one-arm swimmers. So in the Olympics, if a swimmer has one arm, they teach them to be on the side because they can cut through the water, so it's more efficient. And I remember seeing a video in the Paralympics, it was in the final one year, and there was a lady with one arm versus a lady with two arms, and I think she had half a leg that had been amputated, and she was in the same swimming category. And on the last length, the lady with one arm went past the one with two arms with half the amount of strokes, just cutting through the water. And someone messaged me and said said to me, that's what you're saying, Adam, how more efficient it is on the side. So we know it's more efficient on the side. We've just got to learn how to get from side to side. And as I say, that's where Ocean Walker Vimeo comes in, or you can learn from me in person. So I'm just going to leave you with this video so you can just take it in and see what's happening. To give you a few tips, a few more tips on this, I'm sliding from side to side and I feel my hip bone go underneath me, and that's when I pull. And there is a roll of the feet and I kick the hip across in order to get onto my side, and I keep my head still. By keeping my head still, it's the rudder, so the body follows the head. Makes sense? So if you're not thinking about your head being still and you're looking forward and your arms are high, the likelihood is you'll move your head from side to side and you might snake, which is why often they teach you to do bilateral, because sometimes people breathe one side and their front arm goes across the center line and it drags them to one side. So then they do bilateral in order to try and get them straight. But that's not dealing with the problem of balance. That's just snaking from side to side, and you breathe the other side to kind of drag you back into the middle. But if you've got a still head and it doesn't move, whether you breathe to the right or you breathe to the left, it shouldn't matter. Here, whether I breathe to the right or left, I alternate here. I think on the first 50 meters, I breathe to the one side. On the next 50, I did bilateral. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. And that's what I'm showing here. Whether I breathe to left or right, I'm balanced on both sides, so it doesn't matter. It only starts to matter if you're a flatter swimmer and you lift your head out of the water, then maybe use neck muscles. So then maybe you breathe the other side bilateral to even them out. Or you're snaking, like we say. So you're trying to breathe the other side bilateral to keep yourself even and straight. But if you learn how to be straight in the first place, it doesn't matter whether you breathe every 2 or 3, because you'll be balanced in the rotation. It's like a pendulum going from side to side, keeping you very stable. Okay, so I hope that helps you. I really want you to give this a go. Have a look at the YouTube videos. Have a look at Ocean Walker Vimeo if you want the drills in order to keep it going. But I know for myself it's been an absolute game changer. It's changed my life, the stroke, really. I've got a completely different career as a result of swimming this way. So it is the way to go. And when you start it, I'm sure you'll find the benefits. Everybody who gives this a go goes, oh yeah, I can really feel the difference, Adam. I can feel that push. I can feel how it's less effort, all those things. All the best.